and will become a part of the radical alliance in the Middle East, which is led by Iran.
And joining us in the studio to discuss the latest developments in neighboring Egypt and the Palestinian Authority is Jerusalem Post Arab Affairs reporter Oren Kessler. Oren, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
As we know, Defense Minister Mohammed Hussein Tantawi has taken power in Egypt, but there have been some small clashes in Tahrir Square with lingering protesters remaining there. Do you believe that the military has the resolve and the support to be an effective interim leader?
I think the military still has the support of a wide swath of the population. I wouldn't expect to see sort of widespread defiance of the army's wishes or instructions. That said, there is a sort of small hardcore of protesters which is insisting that it'll remain on the streets until there's sort of a detailed timetable of reforms presented to them. So it's hard to predict exactly how things will pan out.
The military leaders have tried to reassure the West and the world at large that they will stay committed to all of the treaties and agreements they've made, including the peace treaty with Israel. Should Israeli leaders be calmed by that statement?
Well, I think Tantawi is considered very close to Mubarak. Sort of, it's expected he will continue Mubarak's policy of remaining close with Israel and maintaining military ties. And the Muslim Brotherhood has also indicated that it will abide by Egypt's peace treaty with Israel. So, at the moment, I think things look promising from Israel's standpoint.
You mentioned the Muslim Brotherhood. Is it surprising to you that the Muslim Brotherhood has said that it will not accede to power, will not want power in Egypt, given that it's run in previous elections as independent when it was outlawed?
I think the Muslim Brotherhood is really trying to lay low throughout this whole thing. I think they don't want to do anything to sort of disrupt, to overshadow the image of this protest as being anything other than a grassroots popular uprising. They don't want it to be seen as an Iran-style Islamic revolution. So I think they're really lying low and waiting and really taking a long-term approach to see how they react.
Closer to home, the Palestinian Authority has announced that it's now going to hold new elections, fresh elections, which have been delayed for quite some time now. Is that connected to the turmoil in Egypt, Tunisia, and the rest of the region?
It does seem as if Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas and the PA were really trying to preempt the kind of unrest we've seen in Tunisia, in Yemen, in Algeria. Mubarak and Abbas were very close allies, and Abbas often turned to Mubarak to get leverage on the U.S., on Israel, even on Hamas. Mubarak was a key element in Hamas-Fatah reconciliation efforts. So it does seem as if they've sort of taken a page from regional developments and realized that they have to call for elections.
Speaking of regional developments, we've seen the sort of ripple effect through the Middle East. In Yemen, we've seen protests. In Algeria, now we've seen protests. What's the likelihood, in your opinion, that we'll see the ouster of another Arab leader?
Right. I think given the volatility of the region, it's very, very difficult to predict what will happen. I think very few people could have predicted just 3 weeks ago that this would have happened in Egypt, that Mubarak, who had been in power for 3 decades, would have been ousted in a matter of a few weeks. And I think on Thursday, all signals pointed to the fact that Mubarak would be stepping down, and ultimately he waited a day before doing so. So I'd be very cautious in predicting. I think we just have to see how it plays out.
Oren Kessler, Arab Affairs reporter for the Jerusalem Post. Thank you so much for being our guest.
Thank you.
The Obama administration is trying to reassure Israel and Jordan following Washington's